Wrestling lives or dies on its ability to suspend the audience's disbelief. It's a scripted fight masquerading as legitimate competition. We all know it's fake, but the magic comes from the ability to con the audience into thinking that in that moment, what they're watching is real. This is increasingly difficult in 2018 when athletic standards are so high and wrestlers have been forced to come up with even more off-the-wall stuff in order to stand out, but the point still stands. Things like overly choreographed stunts, botches, and bad writing pull us out of the element, making the suspension of disbelief impossible and just generally ruining the whole experience. Of all the things likely to do this, it's stuff like John Cena loudly calling his spots in the middle of a match that are the absolute worst, because they expose you to the inner workings of what's supposed to be a pantomime. But sometimes in WWE, what happens behind the camera is even more interesting than the kayfabe world in front of it. So when one of the great men here at WhatCulture.com approached me with the thing I'm about to dive into for you, I was intrigued. Now, be warned, learning about this may just hamper your enjoyment of this goofy little sport, so beware before continuing. That was your fair warning. This is a polite pause. And if you're still with me, we'll continue. So the closing stretch of a match is typically its most dramatic period. This is where the bulk of the excitement comes from as the wrestlers build up and up and up to a dramatic crescendo peaking at just the right moment. Near falls are probably the most important aspect of that, and that's why this is particularly pertinent in WWE, where seemingly every big match devolves into a big finisher shootout with kickouts aplenty. And on top of this, their big budget production style with its constant zooming, crystal clear focus, and everything else that goes into it makes it even easier to focus in on small details that might just go unnoticed on your typical indie show. But enough rambling. What is this thing? What is the one thing that when you hear it, it may just ruin professional wrestling for you? Well, it's all in the eyes. As my colleague pointed out to me earlier on, when a wrestler is getting pinned, they typically give a huge giveaway as to whether or not they're going to kick out or if they're going to get pinned. So his theory is that if the performer is looking directly at the referee, then it's a signal that the match is going to continue and that they're going to kick out. But if they aren't looking at the referee, or if their eyes are closed, it means the match is over. They're done, they don't need the referee to act, there's nothing more to do, so they don't need the non-verbal communication. Now this does make sense, because as we've learned from John Cena's spot calling over the years, if you say something in a match, there's a very, very high chance it'll be picked up by a ringside microphone, hence the need for non-verbal communication. Sometimes a little glance is all that's needed. Now often these things will go unnoticed, but now you know about it, pay attention to the shows, and you should pick up on it. But despite all this, despite this little giveaway, WWE are actually, to their credit, very, very good at masking the whole thing. What the company will smartly do, to their credit, is focus away from the pinned wrestler's face, thus hiding this little tick. But it's WWE, mistakes are made, particularly with Kevin Dunn in charge of production, so some examples do slip through the net. Here's the thing about all of this though, even if you notice this hook, if you're watching a strong enough match, if you're watching an all-time classic unfold before your very eyes, it shouldn't matter too much. You'll likely be hooked regardless, and your investment will remain. We know that Seth Rollins doesn't actually stomp people's faces into the mat American History X style, but we buy into it regardless because the other aspects of his performance are so strong. And it's the exact same thing with this. Anyway, I hope that learning this little thing doesn't hamper your enjoyment of the product too much, but you did make it all the way through the video and ignored the warning, so it. Either way, let us know what you think of this down in the comment section below. Once you've done that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and then drag your arses over to whatculture.com/WWE. Check out some articles from the great men like Jamie Kennedy, Michael Hamflett, and Michael Sidgwick. You'll have a great time, I promise. I've been Andy, and I'll see you later.